Hey everybody, welcome to the Summer Academy for Sociology. This first module is going to focus on the Introduction to Sociology course. In this very brief video, we'll look at the intro sociology landscape, including what you have new this fall. We'll also recap some of our spring titles, which you had a ton of success with, and talk big picture strategy. As we've talked about, Intro Soc is one of those markets that is constantly changing. Just because you were in a department last semester, don't assume that what you heard is necessarily still the case. The digital push from other companies is changing the landscape. Sociology instructors don't want to be forced to use technology-only components, and their interest in options, like what you can offer, is growing. Every single semester is an Intro Soc semester. As we've discussed in the past, Intro Soc is not as cyclical a market as some other course areas. Instructors don't always wait for a revision cycle to look at books, and you shouldn't feel beholden to selling the front list. This is a content market. Sell what works for instructors based on the needs you uncover. There's also a big demand for options. Instructors want to be able to offer ebooks or loose leaf formats. They also want technology, especially course packs, but don't want to be forced to use a digital-only offering like Revel or MindTap. They still want to be able to offer a print book. Since the competitive revisions from Pearson and Cengage are more focused on technology, there are minimal content upgrades or updates. Even more reason to get in there to talk to instructors about Sage's offerings. All of this adds up to opportunity for you. You have the options that instructors want and multiple options in your book bag to satisfy the different needs of your customers. Your front list title for the fall is Newman's Sociology: Exploring the Architecture of Everyday Life, Brief 6th edition. Newman is our most untraditional textbook. It takes a more themed approach than our other books, and the theme of architecture and building runs throughout as a metaphor to how society is formed and impacted by our parts within it. One major difference between Newman and other intro titles is the coverage of theory. Most Intro Soc books use the three traditional paradigms. While you don't need to know these, it's good to have a basic understanding in case you hear buzzwords that help you identify titles to lead with. Structural functionalism. It's a macro-level perspective that focuses on how everything in society fits together. For instance, even crime plays a beneficial role in society because it delineates sanctioned behavior and sets boundaries. Conflict theory is another macro-level perspective that asks who benefits and who does not from social arrangements. It focuses on sources of power and inequality in society that produce winners and losers. Think about when a neighborhood gentrifies. Are there winners and losers? Or what if a big box store wants to open in a neighborhood and the neighbors don't want it? There are winners and losers in each scenario, or someone who stands to benefit and someone who doesn't. Symbolic interactionism is a micro-level perspective that focuses on the individual in society. We acquire our sense of self, how we interact with each other using language and other symbols, and how we acquire a shared sense of social reality. 20th century sociologist Peter Berger wrote a very important and influential book called The Social Construction of Reality that used and expanded upon the symbolic interactionist tradition. It states that the social reality we take for granted is not something out there independently of us. It's something we actively produce through our everyday interactions with each other. Anyone who has read and admired Berger's work will recognize his ideas as the foundation of David Newman's intro texts. Social constructivism is the dominant theoretical perspective. In every chapter, he provides examples and illustrations of how everything in society is made, reproduced, or changed through our interactions with each other and the shared meanings we attach to things. Think about when someone has a baby. Why do baby girls get pink and boys get blue? Are those the colors the baby likes? No, it's what people have decided is how society treats boys and girls. Society's treatment of girl babies versus boys is the product of our collected thoughts and ideas. The comprehensive version of Newman's text was one of your spring titles. Also coming this fall is the accompanying book of readings. Like the text, this follows a similar theme, so if an instructor is looking for a themed reader, qualify this approach. You also had a number of other key intro titles published in the spring, including Ritzer Essentials, the Core Concepts version of Discover Sociology, and Corgan, Sociology in Action. Always remember to lead with the title that makes the most sense based on customer needs, whether it's frontlist or not. Let's recap those 3 spring titles. Discover Sociology Core Concepts, like the parent book, looks at how our world shapes us and the social roots of issues that surround us. 4 key themes run through this title via feature boxes that focus on those themes: power and inequality, the sociological imagination, globalization, and technology and society. This core version has the same depth of content, but less institutions. If your instructor doesn't like brief books because content is too pared down, but doesn't cover many institutions' chapters, this is a good fit. You are all incredibly successful with Corgan and Atkinson's Sociology in Action. This book encourages students to do sociology in an active learning experience that emphasizes hands-on work. Many instructors have already begun to integrate more activities into their classes, and this book includes activities to connect the major concepts of Intro Soc courses. There are also additional activities online. George Ritzer's Essentials of Sociology has been a huge seller for you, with growth across the 2-year and 4-year market spaces. Like the comprehensive version that published in the fall, Ritzer's Essentials of Sociology follows themes of globalization, digital living, and Ritzer's own McDonaldization and consumerism. As you head into the fall semester, remember that Intro Soc is really not a cyclical market, and it's always an Intro Soc year. Visit your adopters and figure out what's going on. Short stacks for large spring adoptions are often formed in the fall, especially at 2-year schools. Get out there and grab your piece of the market, and we'll see you in Boston.